So shall we get started, Ian?
Why not? Why
Okay.
not?
So buongiorno, and welcome everyone. This is John Carlson from ACCE, and again, just want to welcome you on our call today with Central Holidays in preparation for your trip to Piedmont, Italy. And so we're with Ian Scott from Central Holidays, who will walk us through the trip, covering some important details, hopefully generate a little bit even additional excitement here on the trip coming up, and some important details followed by answering some questions. So really just want to use this opportunity to kind of cover some of the key components and answering questions that you have on your mind. And so thank you, Ian, and I want to thank Central Holidays for making this happen and for setting up this call. So let's get to the good.
Good. Thank you, John, and thanks everybody for making yourselves available today. I know we're all very busy and have lots of things to do. The aim of this webinar today is not to go in depth with the program, with the day-to-day, etc., but just to bring forth additional information, talk about what you should have received in your packet, go through some insider information for travel, and then open up to questions. If I could ask a favor, could you hold your questions to the end? As we're doing this as a webinar, it's difficult to answer questions as we go through the presentation. But we will open up to a section where you can feel free to ask any questions you'd wish. I'm going to default to the assumption that most of you have traveled before, so there's some things about travel we'll not discuss. But we'll discuss some other things about what I class as essential for this specific program. But we're heading into Piedmont. It's a great area, into northwestern Italy. We've heading out in November. A great time to be heading into this region. This is a sponsored program by 4 chambers in the area. So we got 4 chamber visits, and we'll discuss that in a little bit, but a whole host of interesting things to do along the way. And everybody should have received their airline scheduling. We have e-tickets. This should have been in the packet that arrived to your home address. I believe it was printed on ticket stock. It looks like a ticket. It smells like a ticket, but it really isn't. It's just an e-ticket. But there are 2 itineraries. There is an early departure and a later departure. There is going to be somebody on each flight traveling with you. On the early flight, which is the flight departing out of New York JFK. Both flights are on Alitalia. It leaves at 4:35. We'll have Gianni Miradori, and he is the CEO of Central Holidays, the retail side. And he's going to be traveling with you on that itinerary. I believe you know who you are. I'm not going to go through the list of who are on that first flight. The second flight is a later flight that's going to be arriving departing out of New York JFK at 10:25. Both flights connect in Rome. We have round about a 2 to 3 hour connection on each flight, so there's ample time to get through the customs and immigration and get back onto the next flight. But at this time, I would just like to point out, if you haven't already, when you get home and you look at the documents, could you make sure that we do have your name spelt correctly? Please also make sure you're at JFK 3 hours before. I'd say a minimum of 3 hours. There's a couple of reasons. It's always good to be at the airport beforehand maybe have a drink, something to eat, and sit and wait for that flight to come, just in case your arriving flight is delayed. Plan accordingly. Secondly is Alitalia doesn't allow us to assign seats in advance. So seating will be given upon arrival in New York JFK. Now, if you are coming in from some other area, there is a slim possibility that it might be allowed to be done when you check in wherever you're checking in, but it's not supposed to. Your luggage should go all the way through to Turin, so make sure you do wherever you check in. If you've got a connecting flight, have a word with them and they should be able to check your luggage all the way through to Turin and provide that e-ticket so that they can see your routing. If you're flying Southwest or one of the budget carriers, they may not be able to do it, however. But for the early travelers, Gianni will be at the Alitalia counter at JFK Terminal 1 by 1:30. He'll be there at the check-in area, and you'll see him, and he'll be there to greet you. If you arrive early and check in and go and do something, his cell phone is listed on this page. It's 212-982-2884. Should you miss him and you want to connect up with him, but he will be there to greet you at the check-in. People on the later flight, the 10:25. I will be at the counter at 7:30 p.m. And my cell phone number is 760-212-0779. So we're there to make sure everything runs smoothly on the check-in, and off we go on the flight, and both flights are overnight flights into Rome with a connection into Turin. Now, once we arrive in Turin on either flight, you'll be met by our representative and our guide and our coach, and off we will go to our first hotel in Stresa. As I mentioned earlier, my aim isn't to go through this day-to-day plan. You'll see a whole host of wondrous things. Got some unusual things. We're going hunting for truffles. We're going to a garment Zegna museum and showroom. We do have some chamber visits and some business meetings and tourism meetings. But again, here, this is the day-to-day that's in there. Please review it, and that's the program that we have. Now, sometimes with programs, what is indicated on day, for example, day 7, might appear on day 8, and what's appearing on day 8 may actually happen on day 7. So we ask for a little bit of flexibility when we're on our programs. Due to local conditions, some things may change on the programs. Now you can see here to the top left-hand corner exactly where the Piedmont region is. So that's where you're heading. This backside of the day-to-day plan is a good thing to leave behind for friends, family members, because it lists the hotels, the hotel contact numbers, and such things as that for your stays. And here we are in, again, the hotels. Lovely mix of hotels here. The Regina Palace, the Principal, the Piedmonte, the Best Western Calaveri, and the Agora Palace. Good quality hotels. The first two are grand-looking buildings. The next two are more modern buildings. So it brings up a total of a mix of the program, but we'll be getting a true Italian experience here. Now, what else is going to be or should be in your packet? If you purchase the travel insurance, the optional travel insurance, you will find a copy of the policy in there. You've got a ticket wallet, which will have your e-tickets in there. It'll have some additional information in there, as well as 2 luggage tags, Central Holidays luggage tags per person to go on your luggage. Luggage, you're allowed 1 piece of luggage not to exceed 50 pounds to go underneath the aircraft in the stowage area underneath the aircraft. In addition, and we'll take care of that once we arrive into Italy for you, once we're out of the secure area of the airport. In addition to that, you're allowed 2 pieces of carry-on luggage, whether it's a briefcase, a computer bag, and a pocketbook, or a wheelie bag and a briefcase, something such as that. That's what you're allowed. Visas for all U.S. residents, citizens. We get a visa or a stamp in our passport. The visas really for the European community have disappeared, but you'll get one of those with the completion of the form in the aircraft upon entry into Rome. That's where we'll get it, and you should be getting the form for that on the aircraft, and they'll be handing that out to us. I saw Simon coming in there. The same thing will apply to us under British passports too, if you still have your British passport. The euro as of today is, we can get this rate, is for €1 it's $1.38. A lot of people ask me, where do we get euros from? If you feel naked that you have to get euros before you leave home, I'm sure one of the larger banks in the local area will have euros, and you'll be able to gain some. If not, when you arrive in Rome, there's a couple of exchange offices in Rome, but that's the place you may need some if you want to grab a cup of coffee or something like that in the interim while we wait for the second flight. So if you feel that you have to take some with you, grab them before you go. Credit cards are widely used in Europe. Visa, MasterCard, American Express to a lesser degree, but please leave your Discover card behind, as it is not accepted in Europe. Europe does have some limitations on credit cards in some areas. Vendors state that you have to have X amount of money signed onto a card before they'll allow you to charge it. So bear that in mind. The time zone is 5 hours ahead, and we're changing the clocks to this weekend, so it will be 6 hours at that particular time period. 120 volts, 50 hertz. European style plugs. If you have an appliance that requires a charger, then please make sure you have the correct plugs with you. You can get them easily at Radio Shack or at Brookstone or one of those type of outfitting shops, and they'll give you all the plugs and adapters that you'll need for anywhere in the world you're traveling to, and they're relatively inexpensive. If your appliance does not have a transformer, a step-down transformer built into it, the same shop you'll be able to buy a step-down transformer that will convert the 220 volts down to 110 volts so that you don't burn out your appliance. Most computers, most smartphones, even most of the hair dryers and such things as that in today's day and age does have a transformer built into it. But please check, and if not, you need to buy one here. before you leave. Talking of electricity, the appliances that go with electricity, your cell phones. Cell phones, depending on your carrier, can be used in Europe. T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon seem to have the best service over there, but please keep in mind that it can be expensive, especially for your text and emails. I strongly recommend when you get on the flight in New York that you turn off your data roaming, because every email that you maybe want or you don't want, even spam, will be downloaded onto your smartphone while in Europe, and you may get a hefty bill because of it. If you speak to your provider, there might be a special plan that you can get out to take into consideration that, but I always turn off my data roaming and use my computer and just log on in the evenings. The easiest way that I found to call home is Skype. If anybody is a Skype subscriber, you can call free of charge with internet access, computer to computer, or you can even buy Skype credits and call a landline, a home line, or even a cell phone line. And it tends to be one of the easiest ways to do that. You can call from the hotels, but hotels anywhere in the world are always expensive venues to call internationally. Now the weather. The weather is, and I can't be held responsible for any weather anywhere in the world, but what I do recommend is log on to the Weather Channel a few days before we go, get their 10-day forecast, and then probably disregard whatever it says, because it's such a hard thing to predict. But historically, it's going to be in the mid-60s during the day whilst here. Maybe high 50s on a day or two, but dropping down into low 50s, high 40s in the evenings. I pulled this off of the Piedmont website, and I love their terminology. It has a humid subtropical climate, which means that it has rainfall or most any day of the year. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment, and what to pack for and what to dress for, but I do recommend having a raincoat or an umbrella or something just in case that you need it whilst there. But again, we are going to a destination where, should you wish to, you'll be able to buy an umbrella or a rain slicker if needed. But what to pack and clothing and carry-on and medication. Comfortable touring clothing is recommended for most days. But that means khaki-style trousers, jeans, Rockport-style shoes, layered clothing. Nothing too heavy, no ski jackets or anything like that is needed. When we have our business meetings with various chambers of commerce, some of them are in the evening. If they're in the evening, we recommend business casual attire. You don't need to bring a suit unless you wish, but maybe a nice pair of trousers, a nice sweater or a jacket for the gents, a nice outfit for the ladies in a business casual style is what would be required if it's a separate event. If we are coming in off of a tour, these chambers of commerce, if it's during part of the day, they know that we're here traveling, we're touring, we're doing a whole host of things, and they don't expect us to be in the best attire possible or in a business casual style attire. We're there walking the cobbled streets and experiencing their countryside, so keep that in mind. Carry-on luggage I always recommend you do carry a spare set of clothes in your carry-on luggage. The last thing we do want to happen is we arrive to Turin, and it could happen, it happens often, but we arrive there and your luggage doesn't arrive with you. If you have a spare set of clothes, then you're all set and you're good for a couple of days. Another item that I always like to say, if you're traveling as two of you, husband and wife or friends traveling together, you may wish to put half of your clothing in your spouse or your friend's luggage and have them do the same. If one piece of luggage goes missing, you have 50% of your clothes with you. If you plan like this, it should never happen. The time you don't plan like this, it probably will happen. Any medication, please make sure it's not in your checked luggage to go onto the aircraft, again, just in case it gets lost. And make sure that you know what the generic name is for that drug if you're taking a drug that's needed for urgent nature. If it's needed for life and death, for sure, because whatever that drug is called in the United States may not be called the same thing in Italy, but if you get the generic name of it, it will be perfectly fine and you'll be able to get it. What I just mentioned a moment ago states exactly the same thing here. Raincoat, sweater, windbreaker, and such things. Comfortable walking shoes. There are cobblestones in Italy. There are stairs in Italy, but it is a spectacular destination. If anybody would like to, it is not required. And don't forget, whatever you're taking, you are carrying. If you want to bring forth a small gift for a chamber, please feel free to do so. I would recommend between 4 and 5 gifts, just in case. But again, it's not required, but if you feel you wish to, please go ahead and do so. An additional document that came to you via email was this particular document, and it's I believe it's about a, it's right here, it's a 9-page document. It brings forth a quite good understanding of Italy, of do's and don'ts in Italy, even do's and don'ts in business. It talks about dining, etiquette, health, the currency and money, taxes. It goes through a whole host of really everything that you'll need to know whilst on this program, and probably some more. It even goes through guidebooks and recommended reading if you'd like, if you have a bit of free time before you go to take care of any recommended reading. And that should be really what's in your packet right there, and what we have to discuss on this program. Is there anybody that does have any questions at all for us?
I have one question, and this is Doris in Pittsburgh. I had booked my reservation when I thought the flight was at 6:30. So I arrive at 2 for the 4:30 flight. I called your office and they said, book my flight straight, my luggage straight through, and that I should be okay.
And who's this, please?
This is Doris Carson Williams in Pittsburgh.
Okay, Doris, I'll give you a call in a moment. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
And I'll find out the background information on it.
Ian, this is Casey Steinbacher in Durham, and Jacqueline McLaughlin is going with me, and she's had the exact opposite happen. So there might be an opportunity to switch tickets.
Okay. Yeah, we know of her instance, and so let's figure that out and see if we can work something, and we'll get that addressed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Julie Granger in Milwaukee. I'm wondering, is it possible to upgrade one seat level On the Alitalia flight to the, I forget what it's called, it's like the Classico Plus, so that you can have the TV screen. And if so, where would I do that?
This is there's some things that on a normal trip we could do, and some things on a site inspection that we can do and can't do. As this is a highly subsidized program,
Sure.
There are no upgrades available on the air.
Okay.
So I apologize, but no, it's not possible to be done.
Okay.
We're in economy class, and that's really what we have. Any other questions? No?
Hey, Ian, this is John. I've got a question. If a question comes up once we complete this call, who should people contact or follow up with?
You can contact Dora. She's listed on the original brochure that was there that advertised the program. Her contact details are right there. Or if anybody is interested, I'll give you her direct line.
Yeah. So I'll be. Okay, go ahead.
The direct line is 201-228-5266.
And is that for you or is that for Dora?
That's Dora. Feel free to call me as well. You've got my number. I'm hoping you wrote that down. My number is 760-212-0779.
Thank you.
Ian, this is Ian. Looking forward to a fantastic trip. Thank you for the briefing. It's really crept up on me, but I'm glad we're heading out soon. A challenge for everybody on the call, you've got to figure out nicknames for the two of us because we're both Ian D. Scotts.
Yes.
There's going to be a lot of looking around on the buses and flights, and somebody's got to help us figure this out.
Yes.
So
We'll try and figure
glass of
something.
wine to the person who come up with the right nickname.
I've been called many things in my life, so I'm looking forward to seeing what I'm going to be called on this one.
I think it's going to be Ian ACCE and Ian Central Holidays.
Gets to be a mouthful, but it could be a start.
It could be a start, and you can't call us Ian D. Scott because we both are Ian D. Scott, so that's another one.
Ian Holidays.
If importantly, as I mentioned, if anybody has any additional questions as such, please let us know. Doris, I'm just going to ask you to stay online just for a little bit longer, and I'm going to grab the number where you're at, and then I'll call you straight back, and then we'll go from there. But look forward to seeing you either at JFK or at in Strasbourg.